What if Tanjiro had the Sharingan? Now, the Sharingan's powers, if you guys don't already know, come from Naruto. It can copy jutsu, read movements way faster, and see chakra, just not as well as the Byakugan. But I'm pretty sure you guys already know how the Sharingan works, so let's just get right into the video. I'm only gonna talk about what changes. If I don't mention something, that means it happens the same as the original timeline. I'll briefly go over the changes, so let's get into it. When Tanjiro sees his family dead and Nezuko turning into a demon, that's one of the biggest emotional moments in the entire series. Because of that, I think he would immediately awaken a 3-to-mo Sharingan. His whole family just died, and now his sister is turning into a demon and trying to kill him. That's more than enough to trigger it, and even if it didn't fully awaken there, he would train up to it. With that, he still fights Giyu, and Giyu still wins, but it's way harder for him. Tanjiro goes to Urokodaki, and Tanjiro tells him about his Sharingan. They train it along with everything else. Tanjiro learns to read movements faster and copy movements, so he picks up water breathing way faster than in the original timeline. At the final selection, things are way easier. Against the hand demon, Tanjiro can read his movements perfectly, find the weakest spot in the neck, and slice his head off without much trouble. Because of that, everything through season 1 becomes much easier for him. He kills normal demons pretty easily. Now we get to Rui's fight. With a 3-to-mo Sharingan, Rui becomes way more predictable. Rui has to move his arms to control the threads, so Tanjiro can read everything. He dodges much easier and figures out how to kill Rui faster in this timeline. Because of that, Tanjiro's sword never breaks. He reads Rui's movements perfectly. Once he starts using his breathing properly, the fight is basically over. Even when Rui uses his stronger thread techniques, Tanjiro can see through all of it because of his vision. Tanjiro kills Lower Moon 5, Rui. He doesn't become a Hashira yet because he's still not at that level, and the Hashira wouldn't allow it anyway. So yeah, before you comment, that's why Tanjiro doesn't become a Hashira here either. After that, Shinobu and Giyu show up. Shinobu still kills the demons she normally kills and helps Zenitsu. Giyu helps Inosuke and then checks on Tanjiro, seeing that Rui is already dead. They go to the Hashira meeting. The Hashira don't really care about Tanjiro's eyes that much. A lot of them already have rare abilities. Obanai sees through his snake, Sanemi has special blood, and plenty of Hashira have something unique about them. So the Hashira meeting plays out the same way. Tanjiro and Nezuko get attacked by Sanemi and Obanai, and then the Ubuyashiki family steps in and stops it. Giyu and Urokodaki vouch for Tanjiro, and that's where it ends. Now after that, Tanjiro still wants to know about Hinokami Kagura, which is sun breathing, and he still wants to ask Rengoku about it. So Tanjiro and Inosuke still go on the Muggen Train to try to ask him, and everything lines up the same way. With Tanjiro having the Sharingan, he can definitely see through most of what Enmu, Lower Moon 1, is trying to do. Rengoku, Nezuko, and Zenitsu help protect the train, while Tanjiro and Inosuke go after Enmu directly and kill him for sure. After that, we get Upper Moon 3 versus Rengoku. Now just because Tanjiro can see Akaza's movements doesn't mean his body or fighting skill can keep up yet. Having good eyes doesn't automatically mean you have the strength or speed to match someone like Akaza. Tanjiro doesn't have the Mangekyo Sharingan yet. Once he does get it, it would be similar to Sasuke's early Mangekyo, not the later broken versions. It's the same kind Itachi had.
Mangekyo Sharingan.
But I'd base Tanjiro's more off Sasuke since we understand those abilities better. Because of that, Rengoku still dies in this timeline. He doesn't have backup, Tanjiro still gets stabbed, and even if Tanjiro didn't get stabbed, he still wouldn't be able to save Rengoku. Inosuke can't help either. Rengoku's death is extremely painful for all of them, especially Tanjiro. Even though they didn't know him long, that loss is heavy enough to awaken Tanjiro's Mangekyo Sharingan. Now for Tanjiro's Mangekyo abilities. We don't know exactly what both eyes would do, and Kakashi's is way too overpowered. I could make a separate video on that if you guys want. So for this timeline, I'm going with Sasuke's Mangekyo abilities, since they're easier to work with. His right eye uses Kagutsuchi, which lets him shape and control black flames. He can apply it to swords, arrows, or anything else, and control how it moves. His left eye summons Amaterasu, the black flames themselves, similar to Itachi's. I'm not using Itachi's Genjutsu eye, because Sasuke's flame control fits Demon Slayer way better. Amaterasu is perfect for the verse, since it can continuously burn demons over time. These eyes don't last forever. If Tanjiro overuses them, he will slowly go blind. On top of that, he also gains Susanoo. Now, I just want to explain something real quick. If you guys don't know what Amaterasu is, it's a black flame that never goes out. And honestly, in Naruto, I always thought it was kind of stupid how they hype it up as an unextinguishable flame, but then every enemy somehow puts it out by absorbing it or using something like the Rinnegan. Still, Naruto is a really, really good show. That was my first anime. Put your first anime down in the comments. Naruto will always be one of the reasons I even got into Demon Slayer stuff. Now after that, Tanjiro tries not to rely on his Mangekyo Sharingan too much. He knows overusing it will make him go blind, and Susanoo is something you basically have to learn while fighting. There's no reason to risk your eyesight unless you really have to. He can still use his 3 Tomo Sharingan whenever he wants. So after that, we move into the Entertainment District arc. Tanjiro goes with Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Tengen. Everything starts off the same. They go undercover, and Tanjiro ends up fighting Daki, while Tengen, his wives, Inosuke, and Zenitsu deal with the other side of her operation, the Belt Demon. This time though, Tanjiro can clearly see how Daki controls her belts. Just like with Rui's threads earlier, he uses that to his advantage. With Amaterasu, he can coat his blade in black flames, or even set the flames directly onto her belts. Since he can control the flames, they keep burning, and Daki can't put them out easily. She ends up taking so much damage that Gyutaro is forced to come out. Tanjiro could even slice off Daki's head before that happens. Now Gyutaro is fighting Tanjiro with the Sharingan active. The problem is, Tanjiro still isn't strong enough to overpower Gyutaro on his own. Gyutaro is too fast, and Tanjiro can't just spam Amaterasu everywhere, especially with civilians and the entire city around them. So Tanjiro awakens a partial Susanoo, not a full one, but something similar to Sasuke's ribcage Susanoo during the 5 Kage fight, just enough to defend himself and keep fighting. Gyutaro gets pissed. From his perspective, Tanjiro isn't even a demon, yet he's pulling off feats like this. Still, Tanjiro can't land a clean finishing blow by himself, so he holds out until Tengen, Inosuke, and Zenitsu arrive. Zenitsu and Inosuke handle Daki like normal, while Tengen and Tanjiro team up against Gyutaro and take him down together. Now with that, Tanjiro probably can't use his Susanoo for very long, and I wouldn't blame him. He knows he can go blind from overusing it, and there's no reason to risk that yet. He's only fighting Upper Moon 6, and he can already read movements well enough without the Mangekyo Sharingan. So most of the time, he sticks to his 3 Tomo Sharingan, only pushing further if he absolutely needs to. During the fight, he can't really catch Gyutaro cleanly with Amaterasu, because Gyutaro is too fast. Before Tanjiro deactivates his Mangekyo Sharingan, the main thing he does is coat his blade with Amaterasu, giving it extremely high fire damage. After that, Tanjiro plays defense much smarter. He stays close to Tengen the entire fight. Because of that, Tengen never has to fake his death and never loses an arm in this timeline. They defeat Gyutaro together like that. Tanjiro still awakens the Demon Slayer mark, and the fight ends way cleaner and faster than in the original timeline. Daki is still defeated by Zenitsu and Inosuke, but Inosuke doesn't take that near-fatal injury from Gyutaro, and Zenitsu never gets trapped under the rubble. Nezuko still burns away the poison, and everyone survives. After that, Tanjiro has about 3 full months of training before the Swordsmith Village arc, since he isn't injured nearly as badly and doesn't need as much recovery time. During that time, Tanjiro avoids using the Mangekyo Sharingan. He's already tasted Susanoo once, so the next time he uses it, he'll have better control, even if it's only partial. Now we move into the Swordsmith Village arc. Since Tanjiro is stronger, he ends up in even more dangerous situations. I'm gonna skip most of the dialogue here. He still meets Mitsuri, Genya, and Michiro, and he still trains with the doll. We get to the part where Michiro clamps Tanjiro's nose, and Upper Moon 4 appears with the emotion clones. Michiro still gets blasted away. Genya and Nezuko still show up, and the fight breaks out. Tanjiro takes far less damage from the emotion clones because of the Sharingan. When everything starts blowing up, Tanjiro, using his red blade from Nezuko and mixing it with Susanoo flames, starts overwhelming the clones. This time, the emotion clones don't last long. Because of the Susanoo enhanced flames, they burn much slower and can't recover as easily. They're forced to combine into the main emotion clone much earlier in this timeline. Tanjiro realizes he has to stop it himself. He activates a half Susanoo and holds back the massive clone, blocking all the attacks and stopping it from reaching Nezuko and Genya until Mitsuri arrives. Mitsuri saves the village chief and jumps in, telling Tanjiro to go finish the main body. Tanjiro goes after it. Meanwhile, Muichiro awakens the Demon Slayer mark, defeats Gyoko, takes Tanjiro's new blade, and throws it to him for the finishing blow. Nezuko still conquers sunlight in this arc, and Tanjiro can't stop that from happening. Now, the Hashira training arc basically happens the same. I don't really see how the Sharingan would change much for anyone except Tanjiro. Tanjiro is obviously training with it and trying to get better control, but everything else with the marks and the training still plays out the same. After that, we get to the Ubuyashiki sacrifice. The master sacrifices himself, Muzan gets blown up, and Muzan pulls everyone into the Infinity Castle. Now, Tanjiro and Giyu versus Akaza goes very differently. Tanjiro can use Susanoo, but I don't really see why he'd want to go all out with it here. Akaza is extremely fast, and Susanoo is very hard to break, but it's also risky to use for too long. So Tanjiro mostly uses partial forms and relies on the selfless state. He uses Amaterasu a lot in this fight. Akaza has to constantly figure out how to deal with it because it's pure chakra and doesn't just disappear. He has to redirect it or avoid it completely. Tanjiro keeps applying pressure. Giyu backs him up, and they end up killing Akaza much earlier in this timeline. Since Akaza is defeated early, everyone splits up. Tanjiro heads toward Kokushibo, while Giyu goes toward Shinobu, who is on the brink of death fighting Doma. Giyu arrives in time and saves Shinobu. With Doma already weakened, Giyu, Kanao, and Inosuke are able to finish him off. If Kanao and Inosuke could beat Doma originally, Giyu being there just guarantees it. Now we move to the Upper Moon 1 fight. This is where Tanjiro finally uses his full Susanoo. His Susanoo doesn't have crazy special abilities like Itachi's or Kakashi's. It's closer to Sasuke's, just red in color. The reason Itachi's Susanoo was so broken was because of his special weapons, not just the Susanoo itself. Tanjiro's is mostly defensive. He uses it to protect everyone else. Mitsuri is already on the brink of death here and still dies, but Genya survives. Tanjiro helps Gyomei and Sanemi heavily against Kokushibo. Kokushibo gets furious, but he can't break through Susanoo. Tanjiro keeps pressuring him with Amaterasu, and eventually Kokushibo gets his head cut off and dies. After that, Kaigaku versus Zenitsu still happens, and Zenitsu wins using the 7th form. Yushiro, Mitsuri, and Obanai handle Nakime and gain control of the Infinity Castle. Muzan realizes this and kills Nakime himself, pulling everyone out of the castle. Now it's the final fight with Muzan. Only a few people have the Demon Slayer mark in this timeline. Tanjiro goes straight into the fight using everything he has. He doesn't need the 13th form. Tanjiro can tank hits and keep Muzan locked in place with Susanoo and Amaterasu. They hold him there until sunrise. Not many people die this time. By the end of the fight, Tanjiro's vision is extremely bad from overusing the Mangekyo Sharingan. He doesn't lose an arm and doesn't become the Demon King, but his eyesight is almost as bad as Kanao's. So yeah, they're basically a blind couple. After everything, Giyu and Shinobu get together. Mitsuri and Obanai get together, but they still die at 25. Gyomei dies because he had the Demon Slayer mark. Sanemi survives. Most people live in this timeline. I really hope you guys liked this timeline. Go vote on my posts, because you guys gave me a ton of really good ideas. That post is already at like 200 comments, so thank you for that. Also, go check out What If Tanjiro Had a Devil Fruit? I really like that thumbnail and the devil fruit I picked for him. Make sure to like and subscribe.